Hit record. I
Oh
feel
my
like I'm
God.
watching the Rudolph show out my window. You know, the beginning of the Rudolph. Dun, dun, dun,
I
dun,
make the
dun,
big
Yeah,
dun,
announcement.
dun.
Can I make the big announcement?
Do
The
it.
do it.
reports and the pictures have finally started coming out of the blizzard of 25 out of New Orleans.
The
So
one day blizzard.
where Susan's going to fill us in. Susan, how are you doing? Do you have
I'm
the
doing
toilet
okay, Bob.
paper?
Hall. Thank you. Thank you guys for asking. We're doing all right. We're up to 5 inches. I do have footage. Russ even offered to send it to Bob so he could highlight it on the somehow bring it up for us, but I told him we weren't that advanced in technology in real time.
I have a question, Susan.
Yeah.
Did it look kind of like the footage you just sent out of your back porch where you went like that? Okay.
Yeah.
I know how exciting that footage is to you guys. It's like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
in terms of this is amazing, let's share it with the world. It's the blizzard. I don't know. I looked at your little courtyard and I said, well, doesn't that look quaint with some snow in it?
It
But that
has
was
five
not my
inches.
reaction.
But it has
Yeah.
5 inches and it's going up to 8. Isn't that anywhere a lot of snow?
It's a lot of snow.
Anywhere, right?
Yeah. Anywhere.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, we're cute for sure because it would never happen here. It's like 5 times in a
It's very
lifetime.
exciting. Look, my first fire in California was like, oh my God,
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead,
What
Polly.
I find interesting about Susan, Bob, is that,
Fucking blizzard.
as soon as it starts snowing around here, man, they're laying sand down and salt, and we've got plows on the highways already doing stuff. They have none of that infrastructure.
We have
Why
a
would
shut
they, right?
downtown.
they're
So,
holed
man,
up.
they're down.
They're
Nobody's
holed
Down,
going
up.
over
bridge
the
down.
bridges. Yeah.
I-10 down, 610
And
down, down, down.
and one more
Ferry.
thing
That's
about
Yes.
Susan,
Or,
since we're
yeah.
talking about Susan in front of her. This is along with the lines of Susan in her life. Look, when we were small, when you're the guy, it starts snowing outside. We're just little kids. She's bouncing around like it is a blitz. You can barely see a flurry in the sky, but it's coming. But she's she's just that personality. If we saw horses on the road, it's a horse, it's a horse. And
I
the
wish I had
brother's
some
like,
snow because I would lob one at my screen and you
uh,
would like
yeah,
this.
yeah. Well, you got snow now, baby.
So it's
Where
happening.
is it
What?
sticking? Can you make something?
Oh, it's 5 inches. It's
Is
big.
it, can you mold it? Can
Yeah,
you make a
snowmen all
snowman?
over the city. It's packable. It's all
yeah.
it's big flakes, giant, like slow. When the wind doesn't blow, they're just huge and going. It's look, I'm from the east. This is a regular Arctic storm, but
When
Nice.
it'll be
someone,
over by. I mean, yeah, it looks like Rudolph. It's like blowing in the
I love
street.
it.
Like if people were out there, they'd be going like this,
It's
That
great
and
is
for
they
the
have
funny.
tour.
been.
It's great for the tourists.
Oh
Like a
my
small,
God, yes.
in the way a small earthquake is kind of cool
Right.
for tourists.
So
Oh,
what I'm
I
looking
felt one.
forward to, I'm looking forward to all the snowmen in the potholes, but we can't even do that because we won't be able to find the potholes for months because the snow
Yeah.
will be over them. But
This is
anyway,
but
that's
it
what's
that
going on.
could be if it's sticky snow
It is.
for the time it's on there, it will fill the pothole. It will
It's a
be something you
temporary
can just
fix.
lightly go over. Now it will fix
I
the
like it.
pothole.
I
So
like
what's the
it.
forecast? Is it going to be gone
Forecast
tomorrow?
is we are late tomorrow night. It's done deal. So,
Here,
whoa!
Lynn.
I was going to say that does not look like how.
We don't care. Bring him over. Put him in his chair. We're ready for him.
So,
That's
and it's
okay. If
20
he's,
till 4, but we're good. Bring him on.
you know,
Well,
we're
he
going to
can
talk
wait
about
also.
him.
He,
This is Hal Bruce, everybody. We kind of
yeah.
we've had this happen before where the guests
But he
came
can
on and
wait if he wants, right,
he
guys?
can
Right.
wait. You don't have to
Yeah.
How
get
you
him.
don't have to come on. We were talking about the snow.
Don't wake him up. I think she was just testing it.
Okay, well, pretend
Oh,
we don't see
listen,
you
No
come
guys.
worries.
back in a half hour. We'll see you
Come
then.
back
Goodbye.
later with the witch's broom.
Yeah, come back
Okay,
in.
bye. So
Bye.
anyway, so Bob, you bye.
Well,
You were asking about temperatures.
I'm looking
Let's
at
just
awards and guitar. Oh my God.
quick, let's wind up the snow and then we can get to the other topics. He'll be back.
So
So
go ahead.
Listen.
it
Well,
feels like,
hold it.
go ahead, Paul.
No, you go ahead, Sue.
So feels like 17. It is 27 degrees right now.
Yeah.
We are going to end up, we are going through the night. at let's see, 31, we're going down to 25, 24, 21, which will feel like 15. So that's our lowest.
Right.
Okay, and that's going to be later this evening, early morning.
Yeah.
But there's nobody on these streets. I mean, nobody has the right cars or tires to even roll on
No,
this
but
stuff.
out where Miranda lives,
Yeah.
they have out their four-wheelers, and in front of her house, there's someone pulling people on a big piece of sheet metal.
Boom.
And when they went around the corner, one of them popped off and
Oh,
flew
no
into the
doubt.
air.
That's crazy.
And then they took SJ, looked at it through the window all morning. Mama, knowing, Mama.
Oh, cool.
Pretty, right? And then she gets her out there and the kid starts crying. What?
So, Susan, so Miranda, they live across that bridge still.
They do. Paul, you know where my house is, guys? And you go up
Yeah.
to the levee?
Yeah.
They're across the levee that way, straight across, and then to the right.
It's not Fury
But
though,
it's
right?
across- they're
Okay,
on
but
the-
they're on this side of the big bridge that crosses that big waterway.
correct.
They're
Up
on
and-
your side of that.
No, they are on the NOLA side, up and around. Just trust me.
Do you
No,
take
they're
the,
across the river.
do you take
Okay.
the ferry then still or no?
Yes, but the ferry is down. So dig.
Oh,
So the Mississippi bends like this, you know, and
Yeah.
and she's right across if we're going by the river. But if not, we got to get on the interstate and drive all the way around to get to her. See what I mean?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if you're ferrying, oh, right across, 7 minutes. Boom, boom.
Right, but you know the bridge that is that going across the Pontchartrain?
Well, that one's closed too. And that is
Right.
another way to get to her via Slidell. Yes, Paul.
Oh.
It's so big. Crescent City connection from
Yeah.
the point to New Orleans proper. You know, like coming across, right?
the
And then,
bridges.
right, then the I-10 to the what you're talking about, the causeway over to the North Shore. And they kind of are on the North. It's like all these peninsulas. It's wacky.
Got you.
It's just
we're gonna
this-
move. We're gonna move on, Miranda.
Yes.
We're gonna apologize if cars start driving up to your place. Sorry, we're giving you all these directions from two sides, but and
Tell her.
just bear with it if it happens because there's
I'm
some
gonna
pretty
get a text,
inventive people
"Mama."
out there. There's some pretty inventive people out there.
I've
It's
just
crazy.
given them the exact how to get there.
Just it's the bend in the Mississippi. Okay. Anyway.
Anyway, so that's the snow story. Bob, could you please update us with your fire story?
Fires
Today's
around. Look,
fire.
we've caught two people starting fires because they saw the wind report. They get juiced up. You know
You
the
said
fire-
something yesterday about that. You
yeah,
said,
the
I
fire
hope-
starters get their thing, and they the wind, you could reach 100-mile-per-hour gusts. Yeah, they picked a couple of them up, I think, starting fires. But we got one more day of wind. Look, this is all over. It's the cleanup. Look, you've
Yeah.
seen Katrina. You
And
can
it's
drive
over
around.
because
That's from
we're
Katrina.
done,
That's
right?
from
Santa Ana's
Katrina.
come and go. Okay.
Yeah.
They come and go, right? Santa Ana. There's a season, then they're not
Yeah,
back
yeah,
all the
they're-
time in this constant
It's just
threat.
not going to happen
Right.
again. Even if
Okay.
they got windy and it got horrible again, everyone's so alert. You know what happens.
Yeah.
Everyone starts acting like you wish they had have acted at the beginning, but at
First,
least they're
oh.
acting that way now.
Right, preaching to the
Wow.
Katrina choir, to your point. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
levees. Oh, maybe we should have really been building them up better. Maybe we'll do
So-
that now.
And so all those like Altadena and even the Palisades. So are those people starting to clean up, or are they just still in shock, Bob?
There are companies now not forming companies, the companies that do this, the ones that are going to go in there and take all that junk out is the first step, of course. And they're all
Yeah,
lining up and getting hired and but it's like you lose track of the news a lot, especially with the way sports, and I let it. Sports took over my life for 3 days. I allowed that. I said, thank God
Yeah.
for sports. I am
Right,
AWOL.
you know, a lot of people did that. It's just a better
AWOL.
place to be.
Yeah. It was, and look, kudos to the NFL for their brand because they put good games out. The teams were the best. They're just great games. It was a lot of fun,
We've been enjoying it too. You guys also, FYI, Dad's half brother Jim's daughter Cindy Cowsill lived in Palisades. I am not sure. I checked on them.
Yeah,
I
they
haven't
did,
checked in
yeah.
a while, but
Well,
remember
they've
they
been in
lived
San-
way back then.
Yeah, Santa Barbara, and recent. But you're right. We visited Uncle Ray at the house in Pacific Palisades. We
Yeah,
went to
Ray
a
and
party
Jim.
there.
That's
Even.
right.
We
That's
did.
right. And that's
Yep.
but Cindy never left. I think she and her husband still live
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah.
also, I would like to report that my general hospital guy lost everything. Cameron, the guy who
Right,
plays
Cameron.
Drew on General Hospital.
I wonder how
Wow.
Bert Navarre, the lead guitarist on our global album from the Knack, Bert Navarre. He lived in Pacific Palisades back when we did global. I don't know if he stayed there. Most people that lived there stayed there.
Hey, yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah,
So,
sure.
but that's
All
going to be a
right.
whole
But you
different
guys
look
are
when-
in you think it's not going to be some ongoing thing? Because every time I hear the Santa Anas are coming again, I'm like, well, here we go again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're over it.
Okay.
Everyone gets a little
Oh.
fire drained.
Oh,
So,
how's
all right,
Oregon
guys.
doing?
Oh, there's a fire in a dumpster. Okay, well, okay. I'm not going to worry
Right.
about it. Back to the game. Yeah.
How's
get
Oregon doing, Polly?
Well, I'm burning our garbage right now.
All right,
See?
freely.
And then you
And
have
it's
that.
snowing, right? And it's snowing.
Yeah, and then you have
It's
that.
cold.
Hey,
cold.
you guys are just listening all the time. We got an empty square for Hal Bruce. Hal Bruce is our guest, by the way.
Yes, he will be
Yes.
joining us.
We met Hal on all the cruises we do. He's been doing them for years. Then
Yeah.
you start learning about Hal Bruce. You go, wow, dude, you're amazing. This guy,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
knows and performs every Beatle song. I mean, who knew there were 215 Beatle songs? I never counted them. You know?
Yeah,
Right,
you would be a
right,
guy who
right.
I would think would know, frankly.
And we'll get into it when one time in live performance, he sang them all in a medley, but he
we
made
have
it
to
a
ask
medley.
about that.
It's a verse and
Yeah. Oh.
chorus, doesn't count, but
Wait,
we'll
in a
ask.
medley as in continual?
Yeah,
What?
but a medley means he took a verse and chorus of each one. He didn't do the whole song, is my
Still, that's
take.
a
We'll
lot,
ask him.
dude. I don't even, there's
We'll
not
ask
even
him
a
about
Dylan
that little
song.
boast. Okay.
All right, that's what we're going to talk about.
We'll ask
That
him
and
about
more.
that.
So stay tuned. Do we go down our gigs and stuff? What are we doing? Are we just going to talk fire?
We're going to
and
start
rain?
being
No.
business people. So March 8th at Havre de Grace, Maryland. Remember that.
We're going to
And,
gripe. That's what we're going to do.
And then March 16th at the White Cliff Golf Club. Oh boy, 2 shows. And then the
We
Flower
golf?
Power Cruise, and then the Golden Nugget, April 4th. And then May 2nd and 3rd, Kearney, Nebraska, and somewhere else on the 3rd nearby, I think, because it's the same weekend. And then May 10th, Tomball, Texas, our trio show. And then the 57 city. And then I saw a list that did show Orange County. Anyway, the 57 city that Paul pointed out, Happy Together tour.
Woo!
Okay. And we're very excited about that. We had a great visit last week with Johnny Britt, and before
Hey,
that, little Anthony.
Do you guys think Lindsay's going to kick this year?
Susan, that
Yeah.
actually sounded like you asked me if I thought Mark was going to die this year. I don't think he is.
No,
he's gonna
kick
be
his
okay.
leg up.
He could kick
Kick.
it.
Oh.
We could have
His
a death on
leg.
the tour. I think there's going to be a death in an NFL game. But look, these guys are becoming houses.
Stop.
But-
That is not what I meant. Kick his leg up in the song. Kicks. Do you think he's going to be able to kick this year?
If he does, since you asked, if he does kick, I
Thank
think
you.
I don't think he's going to, but if he does, he knows we're all going to be measuring the angle of the height to get a quick read on how Mark's doing.
That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
I didn't like him kicking back then, so I really hope he's not. What,
Wow.
Paul?
Hey, so Susan, have you reached out to Mark? I mean, you have all of his info and all that.
I do, and we're kind of pals. But
Okay.
I'm a good gal pal to have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is
and I
he
know
excited
when-
about coming out?
I haven't contacted him so that his life
Oh.
goes smoothly.
Would you contact him, please, and ask him
Yes.
to be on our podcast? Because I've gone through the normal route and I'm not getting a
I will.
response.
Listen, it'd be perfectly in the realm of me checking in now that I know he's for sure coming on
Grab him.
to say, hey, buddy, I can't wait to see you, and will you be on the cast and see where it goes?
Let's-
And if we don't get that, then you know what? We'll be able to get it on tour.
On the road.
We'll corner him.
But
Paul,
let's go
that'd be
ahead.
great.
Let's go ahead.
I would love to have him and have you ask that question. I mean,
Are you going to kick?
during Kicks, people, in case you don't know what we're talking about, Mark Lindsay during the Happy Together tour, during the song Kicks, of course, there was a section he could kick that right leg up and almost do the splits, it seemed 10 years ago. But, Can he still do it? And then he hasn't been out for a while. He had an injury, et cetera. A lot of things. We're all
He had
getting
a
older.
bad ankle injury,
So we're
y'all.
He
wondering about
did.
the kick.
Yeah.
It's
Wondering
exciting.
about the
Well,
kick.
we're going to find out about the
Oh,
kick.
he who cannot be mentioned did get back to us about the lineup, but remember on last week's episode with Johnny Britt, we were trying to ask he whose name does not
Boy.
like to be mentioned.
Everyone knows who Ron is. Go ahead.
I love calling him he whose name is not to be mentioned.
We accidentally said his last name last week.
But we've been talking about him like crazy. He has said that he is going to get to us today with this. He
About
says, I
the
hope
order.
to have an answer
Maybe
next
we're not
week,
opening.
which would be today. So I'm going to let him know we're here next week, and we'd like to know. So here we go. Everybody smile for Ron. And now I'm going to say we're here, and he promised last week on Johnny Britt's show that he would tell us the very next week,
The lineup?
aka next day. So here we go. We'll see what he says.
I muted Hal Square. There's noise coming from it, so I muted it.
I love
Now
it.
it's clean.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Wait.
Awesome.
Hey, we are waiting for the answer about the lineup in real time on the podcast. Tag your
Quickly. If we think we're not opening, I think we are. What would we do if we didn't open?
Quit.
We'd quit.
Hey.
Two quits. You
Not
have to
open
quit
as a
too because it's
solo
two
artist,
against
then.
one.
I'm not giving. You're gonna have to drag me off that one.
Bob's
That ain't gonna happen.
Look, you all. Bob calls Dennis Stefano and he goes, "Hey, look, you think I could just sing these songs alone like you? I've got the same jacket, the same shirt. We kind of look. Can I just go out there and do these by myself?" He gets trained by Stefano.
There's nobody on this tour that wants to open up.
No.
You know, it was funny
Not
as an artist,
emotionally.
and we've been artists our whole life, but as an artist, I only heard about that issue being an issue when we got to the Happy Together tour personally.
Same.
Yeah.
I didn't know like they don't want to be open or why not, you know, and then I heard the answers. Well, they're still being seated. Okay, I don't care about that.
No, and it's a status thing, guys. It's like marquee. Who's on the marquee first? Who gives a hoot?
EGO.
It's like
EGO.
It's an order. So the opener's the least in the order of in the pecking order. Got it.
There you go. I nailed it.
But
They
then
have the
why we
least
don't-
prestigious.
but you get
bands.
first crack at the audience. They're the first thing. You're the first thing they hear. It's awesome for us. We love it. You know, even at a
We're
big
at the
show.
beginning and at the end. They remember us. They have no choice. Even if they wanted to forget we were the first people out there, we're back in their faces at the end. So they remember
Really?
us.
Yeah.
All good. But so
Listen,
yeah,
we thought
Uh,
of having a gripe segment, guys,
Let's do it.
out there. And
Let's
by
do
the
it.
way, go ahead. I just want to quickly publicize info@cowsills.com is where you can ask us a question. But please, when I go in there, it is inundated with junk mail. They want to make our podcast #1. They want to make our podcast worldwide. They want to make our podcast multinational, multilingual, multi
does?
It's like, leave us alone. Okay.
Who wants to?
Junk mail. I have to go through them all to get to a question. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. But
I don't want any.
I think it's because we're getting more popular, maybe, but who knows?
Our
Podcast land is so filled with, I mean, everyone's got one, even if they're doing something
Everybody.
else.
Everybody's
It's
got
wild.
one, guys.
So, griping. I think Paul had a
can
gripe.
go-
It's not a gripe, it's more an observation. I saw this. What don't you like the older you get? I get colder. Okay, I do. As an older man, I come from the Northeast, but I can get cold quick in the even in I just run cold now, and I never used to. And I don't eat as much, and it's not because I'm trying to lose weight. I think old people's appetites are less than young people's. I definitely don't eat as much, but those aren't really complaints, but they're differences.
Yeah.
There you go, Paul.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned to Bob and Susan earlier, just getting out of the chair or getting out of the car or getting into the car, there's constantly a, and it's me and Louie are here. Yeah, we're like in our 70s, right? Louis 70 in a month. And man, that's what we do. And so what I've been trying to do is not make the noise, but you really need to think about it when you're in the getting up. Just don't make the noise and you're fine, but the noise seems to help you up.
Well, you feel it.
You know, it's like when you squeeze something hard with your hand or do anything with your arms, your face is so contorted, like your face isn't
Yeah.
doing anything.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And I guess you need your
Well,
face. I
And
don't
so
know.
Yes.
along in this category goes this too. And that is when you get up in the morning. You know, I mean, you used to get up in the morning, you get up, you put your feet on the other side of the bed, maybe even go, then you stand up. Well, no, now you get up, you go, and you're, you know, and then you stand up and you go, and then,
Right.
and then
And
Russ
we re-
goes, Russ goes like this, he's like, the
Oh.
bathroom, it's like our bodies aren't working.
Got ya.
A
Got
bit
ya.
of shuffling, a
But-
bit of shuffling.
Well, it's just because
Yeah.
nothing's, it's like oil can. I don't know. You're stuck.
Oil me. Oil
But
me.
yeah,
I'm still
we're-
laughing at Lynn, Hal's wife. She didn't expect to see us. She was just testing the connection.
Oh, it's
And then
fun.
the three of us are in prime mode. It's
We're
like-
announcing Hal.
I feel so bad about that.
I think it's fun, and she's okay now that we let her go. She was like, "Oh my god, poor Hal." Probably was like just getting out of the shower.
We're going, bring him on. He's probably asleep, right? Bring him over. Bring him over.
No, that was Howard Kalin.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
That is
That
too
is
Oh
funny.
man. Okay, more. Okay. What is it? Things that since you're
Well-
older you recognize.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I wanted to mention one last thing. I digress on this, but with Johnny, you know, what we forgot to talk about is when he shot that basketball in that hoop like 20 times in a row. You remember?
Yeah, we had-
at some place that had a hoop.
Oh
Yes, it was
Yeah.
backstage. He
yeah.
had
He's
it.
a master of everything he does.
Yeah. Wish we would
He
have asked him.
did.
Yeah, I wanted to know how come he can shoot like that. I don't care if he learned it on a playground or in school.
Yeah, we want the story. See.
Yeah.
I guess at this point now I'm going to shift because I guess we're supposed to tell people when we have music out, we're supposed to tell people, and you know, global's out there, rhythm of the world is out there, cocaine's coming, acappella's coming, but right now, today's news is started yesterday, 6 times a day. Little Stevie's Underground Garage is going to play She Said to Me as the coolest song in the world.
Yes. Now, Susan, I want to tell Susan something. You missed the call that me and Bob were on with Brad and the whole lot of them.
Yeah.
You missed that call.
Business call.
Yeah.
So they were, you know, so that's where we changed from What About Love to
Oh, I remember
What I
the
Believe.
verbiage of
Okay.
it. Yes.
And then
Yes.
they were going, well, what about a single man? I was sitting there and Bob didn't say no, but man, I went, she said to me, just she said to me. And he goes, oh, she said to me. I go, she said to me. And that's how She Said to Me got on there.
Well, thank you, Paul Cowsill, the best song in the world this
The
week.
single.
He got them to listen, and they thought,
Dude, I wasn't on that, but I
Pablo's
knew
right.
what we didn't want, and I knew we were going to offer up some stuff, but I didn't know that was very good.
well, the
Look,
coolest thing,
That's
and I remember this, the
the
coolest thing about She Said to Me and those sessions was working with Booker T, and
Junior.
the MGs, either kid or grandkid, I can't remember. I
Junior.
think
It was Booker T. Junior.
Booker T
Yeah.
Jr. And he
That's who it was.
loved that song. He kept
Baby
looking
Booker.
at us, and I remember he did it 2 or 3 times. He would say, "Don't mess this up. Don't
Yes.
mess this up." I go, "What is he?" But he guarded that song. I don't know what he was doing, but he would say that.
He fell in
He
love
said,
with
I know
it.
he said
You're
it a
right.
couple of times. Either we were working on a part for it or whatever made him say it. He was the engineer, you know, and
Yeah.
he
At 55, yes.
that was
Yep.
his.
Yep.
He really took to that song. I wonder what he's up to.
You
He
know,
probably
Yeah.
doesn't even remember the session like Val Garay, you know.
Right. Oh,
You're
right.
engineer
Right.
on Covered
Oh,
Wagon.
I think he
I
might.
was?
I think he
Oh,
might. Yeah.
I must have stumbled out of the house for that one, you know.
Van
Yeah.
Dyke Parks
Yeah,
was
yeah.
on my singles. He doesn't even know my name.
What
Well,
was that?
what'll be crazy?
Van
What'll
Dyke
be
Parks.
Oh, Van Dyke's Parks, yeah. What'll be crazy, you guys, is Cocaine Drain. That's all Susan lead vocals. That'll be different.
Right. Who were we there? who are we in global? Who are we now?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
You know what's funny about that, guys, when you think about it? So check it out, listeners, and but the guys too. So it's all me, right? It's just me singing with great backgrounds. Bob's written all these songs, Bob and Paul, whoever writes them. Bob's just like, here, you're singing them, so I'm singing them. We just go by what we do. We don't even know. We just do it. Nobody ever questions anybody.
Yeah.
Then, so the guy who's making it with us brings it to his record company, and they won't take it, but they'll take the girl. Now wait just a gosh darn second. You just said you liked everything you heard. Paul just noted that everything you heard was just me with all of us. Now, if I was separated from this pack and all that music went away and all those vocals went away, well, it would be pretty sad. So what is the deal in their heads? What it was?
Here's the deal. They loved the record, but they loved the idea. Look, other girls are going to break away and become famous. Rihanna's going to do it. Other girls, Pink is going to do it. They could see that you could do it. Look, your three brothers, we were not during the cocaine drain session sitting there mope-a-dope and why don't I have a song? Why don't I have a song? No,
you were handing them over.
We weren't that band. You were 19 years old, you know?
I was just doing what I do.
You sang great. Me, Paul, and John were honestly very young as lead singers, only developing just then. Honestly.
Right. Well, me too, but it just you would just write them, and then I remember being in rehearsal. You'd say I got a song, and some constantly go, who's singing, and Bob goes, Susan, and we go, okay, go.
They were girl songs.
Nobody
and guys,
it.
They're going to have
evolution, dudes.
When we put out our self albums, that's easy to deal with business wise. You go to Cocaine Drain, you got Buzzy Feet and Steve Ferguson, Wendy Waldman, Billy Payne, the people that were on that record and helped us, Steve Foreman, Bobby Hall.
You know, I just saw Billy Payne. We talked about that.
Two great percussionists on the Cocaine Drain album.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We should share. I want to share one thing about something that Rock. You guys remember Rock? If you don't, he's kind of our executive producer. He accidentally, through his assistant, had a suggestion that I can't get out of my head. And the suggestion was this: you guys, you've heard the a cappella, The Rain, the Park, and Other Things. Everyone's heard it. It's coming. It will come out formally when it does on a project with others, everything else. But after that, I can't get this idea of taking that a cappella version right in there to the studio with the band and playing band under and making a full record out of that. After it, though, I wanted to. I would probably never do it. I love that. Hal's awake. Let me unmute him.
Hal's up. Coffee's in.
Ask to unmute.
Oh yeah.
How do I unmute him? Oh my God, I muted him. Can I hear you, Hal? No, I gotta unmute him. How did I do that? Wait a minute.
Bob muted. You're all right.
No, I can't unmute him.
Hi, Hal. Bob will unmute.
Hal, if you can hear me, hang up and call back in, okay? No, I unmuted you. It's my Oh, there you are. Hold on. Hold on. No, you're muted where you are now. Hal, if you hear me, just call back in, will you? Okay, thanks. Okay, so that's our guest. He's going to disconnect. I'm going to dump him.
So exciting around here.
Remove Lynn. I removed him, guys, and when he comes back in, it'll all be good.
I cannot believe this, Bob. It is far more than cute now. We're at about 7 inches.
I love it. It's exciting to have exciting weather.
I can't even believe this. Okay, focusing. Hal was hilarious. Mrs. Hal is even funnier.
What
were we just talking about? Oh my God, so many topics came up.
You zapped me out of a conversation like that. I'm not getting back in. I don't even try sometimes.
Look, they keep putting Crescent City Snow up. My song's all over. I wrote a song called Crescent City Snow,
yes,
which everyone's posting today. I'm everywhere today. I'm getting a lot of
yeah.
Got a little promotion for nothing today because of my song.
Since we have time, while Hal's, I hope he can come back in.
Okay.
So we did have, and I forgot to tell Paul and Susan this, but Mike Kurtner's our radio guy. We have 97.9 The River, the Cowsills Chronicle radio show every Sunday at noon and 10 p.m. Correct? Okay, that was said very fast.
You sounded like a radio guy.
We are in high level, higher than even Lou, meetings with SiriusXM to get that on weekly on 60s Gold, the station. So
did Lou send you to the higher ups?
So it's going higher, it's going up. So
Wow.
it's pretty cool, and we'll see what happens, and we'll let you know. And it's okay to talk about it because we're okay if nothing happens because we're those kind of people. It's like,
Right.
okay,
We're the
whatever.
best
Right.
note takers ever.
But
So,
Haven't
Bob,
known in a long
so
did a
you
time.
great
mean
job.
Lou is taking it up the ladder?
Up the ladder, Lou Simon. He's
Right
our
on.
guy. We've known
Got
Lou our whole career with Sirius XM. And Lou should write the book. His stories are amazing.
Lou.
He's got Beatles stories that you wish
Lou
you
is the best.
get anywhere
Oh,
near.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a positive. So everyone think positive about getting that up into the national scope of things, and we'll see what happens then. We've got lots of episodes ready for them, as you guys know.
Yes.
And,
Hal has a new book out, you guys. It's
Yes,
called
he does. It's
Wishing,
called
Wishing
Upon
Upon
My.
a Star.
Yes, Upon
And,
My Star. Actually,
My
how
Star.
crazy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because
We
I
all
want to
wrote it
hear
down.
from him about that. How it seems like he's got some just stories,
Yeah, like a
that
couple of
have
them.
filled the book up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
stories.
We
So
would like
I
for
thought
him
it was
to
an
be-
interesting. I want to hear more about that because
Well, we've talked
you know.
about making a book of stories, haven't we? It's kind of that's was one thing I thought of when I saw
we
that.
did.
Yeah,
We were going to put it on
we
the
were
words
doing.
table.
Yeah, we were going to be doing a coffee table book,
Yeah.
you call it,
Yes,
and
man.
it was going to be like that. But I'm interested. The whole book of, did he take it decade by decade, or did he?
Yeah. There he is. So Bob, why don't you introduce Hal and let everybody know where we met Hal and how we.
Whether it was in the older days, even Abbey Road on the River, or whether it was the cruises that we started to do, we started to meet and bump into Hal Bruce. Now, the first time it's like he's just Hal Bruce, and there he is. We're not meeting him or anything. Got to know him a little on the last, but we want to get to know him a lot now because this guy, he doesn't stop. We're going to say some factoids about him that are kind of wild to me, especially when we get into Beatlemania. But we'll get into all that. But this is Hal Bruce.
Hi,
You
Hal.
find him on the Bonfire Cruise, the 70s cruise, the Malt Shop Cruise, the this cruise and that cruise. He's from Nova Scotia, by the way, Canada.
Yes.
So he's a Canadian. And I guess that's where everything came out of Canada. And he's our guest for today. And we want to pick his brain about his career. It is voluminous.
Yeah.
How's it
Hi,
going
Hal.
today, Hal?
But I hear that it's warmer here in Nova Scotia than it is south of our border.
I believe so. I think the U.S. is having a lovely Arctic blast that has made its way down to New Orleans.
Yeah, it's almost freezing temperature.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to come right out the chute with this one, and I think it's a no-brainer. When you were a kid living in Nova Scotia, and Carly Simon came out with "You're So Vain," did y'all get tickled when the verse said, "And I flew into Nova Scotia to see the total eclipse of the sun"? Did y'all go, "Nova Scotia"?
It was really, really surreal.
I figured it.
because I really liked her music. I actually do I do that song from time to time, but
Me too.
yeah, the first time I heard it, I think the first time I heard that was in 71 or something like that, 72.
That's about right.
Right on.
Well, I just had to ask that. I know it's kind of a silly thing, but as a kid, I know that I would have tapped into that immediately and felt that
Yeah,
was my
yeah.
song.
Yeah, I did.
There you go, guys.
Yeah.
Let me get Paul.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Paul,
and
you
then
got something?
No, I was just gonna. I wanted to know between 0 and 12.
Oh, I'll get there. I just wanted to do my
Oh.
little trivia thing first.
Okay.
Bob,
me-
what do you got?
I'm going to introduce
Before that.
Susan. I'm going to introduce Susan. Okay.
Okay.
Susan's going to take over this interview, kick it off for us. We're talking to Hal Bruce, 18 albums. Says that when he's home, it's good to sleep in a strange bed because that's how much he travels. Okay.
Screw that.
Oh, yeah.
He knows and has performed, all right, in a medley, all 215 Beatles songs
My gosh.
live and knows every one of them. He's got
Yes, he does.
books. He's got a country music Hall of Fame award in addition to others. And he is one guitar, one voice, big sound. Susan, take it.
Thank you, Bob. My God, I'm
18
overwhelmed.
albums. 18 albums.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, go.
Okay. Hi, Hal.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, honey. Welcome to our little podcast here.
This is
Listen,
exciting.
my part of the show, I like to kind of start off in the earlier years of our guests because we know you're an accomplished musician. We know we can read your bio and we know exactly where you landed, but we don't necessarily know how you got there. And a lot of us who are musically oriented and have made careers out of it often start off our young lives wanting to do a something else. Like when we're about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we start getting an idea who we are. Did you ever, other than music, have how wants did mom and dad want you to be anybody, a doctor, a lawyer, a veterinarian, a teacher, or was
Yeah,
it always music?
it's a little bit of everything, really. I started off. I got my first guitar. It was a $10 pawn shop guitar that my dad picked up um, when I lived in the province of Prince Edward Island, and I was living with my grandmother because my birth mother, she left home and went with her boyfriend. So there was myself and my younger brother Gary and Donnie. I was 7 at the time. I was the oldest. So my dad went out and bought this $10 pawn shop guitar. Now that was right at the time that Elvis had peaked. Buddy Holly had just passed away the year before in '59, and the Everly Brothers were like, I love family harmonies. I do. And we'll get that in a minute, but family harmonies are just, there's something about the vocal stylings of them. Even at a young age of 8 or 9, 10 years old, I didn't necessarily know how to do harmonies. I didn't understand them. I thought they're just people singing together and it sounded great. Something about the stylings of that early stuff. Then the Beatles came along. They weren't related. They weren't brothers. They
Right.
weren't cousins, but their vocal stylings went together so perfectly. You know, John, Paul, and George. Ringo, not so much because he sang his own songs, but there's something about harmonies that just really clicked with me. So for a few years after I bought the pawn shop uh, guitar, I thought it was like just little notes. That's what I thought. I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could
Oh,
chord.
wow.
So my next door neighbor, who was the father of the kids I hung out with, knew how to play chords, you know. And so I learned 3 chords. Formed my first band or joined my first band when I was 13. We each made
Okay.
$1.75. So to get to the point of the whole thing is, I knew right then when the Beatles came on the scene in '64 that that's what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to be a Beatle. I wanted to play just like that. And I was too shy to sing lead, but I started to learn harmony. So with all that together, then you folks came along. I think it was '68 or '69, and you had hair. And I thought, I can't even touch that. It's magic. Like there's more than 3 chords in that sucker.
Hair is a little complicated.
We were hooked on it. Now in Halifax, Nova Scotia, they played your songs like Indian Lake, Hair, and a bunch of other tunes. And I couldn't believe the harmonies and the layered harmonies, not just 1, 2, 3, but overcrossing harmonies and stuff like that. That's when I started to, around that time, and the Mamas and the Papas in '67,
Sure.
started to really, really appreciate harmonies. Then I started to learn harmonies when I was, I think, 14, I guess.
Wow.
Oh,
And then
Okay. So does in your DNA, is this a DNA thing? Do you have music in your blood? Are your parents musical, or was this just an inspiration from a friend?
well, my uncle, who was in the forces, my dad's brother, Byron, he was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And he played drums in the military. So he played
Yeah.
trumpets and stuff. But on the weekends, he was in what they called a combo,
Yeah.
jazz and pop combo. They didn't call it pop back then, I don't think, because this was around 59, 60, 61.
Yeah. No.
right.
Go out and see the bands set up. My grandmother was at this hall. It was a bingo hall, and the band was setting up. And I used to watch them setting up, and it was like magic to me. I hadn't even heard them play yet. I thought, all this equipment in there. My uncle's so it just blew me away.
So he was so you have music in your family somewhere, or someone who presented music to you. Cool.
Yeah. And my dad was a really good singer. He sang in the
Okay.
church, and he was a lead singer. He didn't know harmony. So I don't think
Oh.
there's anybody in my family that knew harmonies, but some of them sang fairly well, but nobody had any aspirations except for me.
Okay, okay. So did you ever want to do anything else? Once you saw the boys on Sullivan, you knew this is where you were headed, yeah?
I did, yeah. I was an artist as well, so I actually
Okay.
got a job. I got a
What's your medium? What when
10-year
you're
career in drafting maps.
Oh, okay.
wow, that's
So that
cool.
was a normal job that you had.
What's that again?
So that was kind of a layman's job, a normal job, not music related.
So people still come up to me. I'm playing full time. People still come up to me and they say, "So have you got like a real job?"
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I
now
let
do
me ask
that
you,
sometimes.
hey Hal, so all of your bands, you're learning harmony, you're impressed with harmony, you're not self-identifying as a lead singer, yet you're going to have a career as the lead singer. So in your band experience, when are you going to tell us about when you first took the lead and what that was like? And
I will tell you, I think this is really, really cool because it happened quite by accident. So my old band back in 76, 75, 76, allowed me to do a couple of Paul McCartney songs, Let Me Roll It. And I think the other one was called Junior's Farm anyway.
Oh, great songs, both of them.
Yeah. So I hit the notes on uh, Let Me Roll It, but it was it's a very demanding vocal. You have to, and I just sang the notes. So I didn't do well, but they allowed me to sing it and people wanted to hear it. So jumping ahead a little bit more, after this band broke up, there was a little three-piece unit not too far from where I lived. The lead singer guitar player left the band and they were auditioning a fellow to play guitar and sing harmony because the drummer was going to take over the lead vocal. So I went to the audition and he said, after a couple of songs that he was singing, he said, "Do you know that song, Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers?" And I said, "Yeah, I play it all the time."
Love
I
that
said,
song.
"I can play it and you can sing it." So we kicked into it. Didn't sound too bad, for an audition type of a thing, and three of us. And so the drummer started singing. He sang the octave down. So he sang, "Don't you feel it growing day by day?"
Oh, okay.
oh
So
my gosh,
after he finished the song, and I was very shy, but I said,
Wow.
can I make an observation and maybe a suggestion? He said, "Sure." I said, "If you take the lead vocal and go up the next octave, you're going to sound like, 'Don't you feel it growing?' Up higher." So he tried it and he couldn't do it. And he said, "Maybe you can just show us what you mean." So we kicked into the song again and I started singing it. Never sang it before in my life in the proper octave. And they were grinning at each other. I thought, "Oh man, I'm going to lose this audition," right?
you're
So halfway through that song, he says, "Stop, stop, stop." I said, "Oh, I lost it." He said, they looked at each other and they said, "Looks like we found ourselves a new lead vocalist."
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
Nice.
my God, that is awesome.
And that was my birth of trying to become a believable lead singer. I could hit the notes, but just to be believable. You know what it's like when you're trying to get the audience to know what you're singing about instead of just singing the
Yes,
note.
yes,
You bet,
yes.
of course, of course, of course. So wow, I just think it was amazing. I'm sorry, I've lost my thought, guys.
That's okay, because I have a question. So you're into bands. Everyone was. I do have one question: how you evolved away from bands and have a career as a solo artist. And other than the obvious, the low overheads, low bands have issues, bands have personalities. You don't have to deal with any of those. And it's so easy to go. I mean, I was a pub singer for 28 years. There was nothing to set up and go
Yes.
home. But you never went back to bands, right? It just
No,
became you. I mean,
no.
that's a big, was that a decision or an evolution?
Well, first of all, when I did jump to a soloist, I was never so afraid in all my life. I had been shrouded by, band members. And if somebody made a mistake, you could always blame the other guy, right?
You bet.
We do that.
What happened is I was raised on pop, rock and roll, and folk, and then I learned to fingerpick, do James Taylor stuff. So I was doing that kind of stuff in my bands. But in 1983, I recorded my first single, and it became I hid here in Nova Scotia. Well, actually, not all of Nova Scotia. It was in my subdivision, and for about 15 minutes.
Uh,
But it did well. So it was kind of country, but I wanted it to be a pop song and it had some Beatlesque kind of harmonies in it. But they played it on the radio quite a bit.
Okay.
And so I was going to promote it down in Nashville. So I drove all the way down with my Jeep, and I had a big box of singles, a song called "I'm Leaving." And when I got down there, there was a manager producer who really wanted to produce my stuff. That's the only song. I had 2 songs written at the time.
oh,
So, but going across the border from Virginia to Tennessee, there was a big billboard sign on the side of the road, like one of these 12-foot high by 25 feet or 30 feet long. Poncho and Lefty, Merle Haggard, and Willie Nelson. And it blew me away. And I thought that was the biggest song that year on the country charts. And I wasn't listening to country music.
oh,
When they started playing my song on the country radio, I started listening. I thought, man, country music in 1983 was pretty darn good. I'm going to get me a country band. So I did.
Wow.
So taking it more to the future, we were very successful. When I say very successful, we worked 51 weeks a year. We toured 2
Okay.
albums in Nashville and got a bunch of awards. But towards 2000, the end of 1999, country music was changing and it was becoming a little bit more techno for me. And I thought, if they're going to get that way on me, I'm going to go back to my roots of rock and roll, CCR, Beatles, Stones, whatever,
yeah.
James Taylor. So I decided to fold the band up after 20 years on the road. And
Oh,
the next day at a pub, playing stuff that I knew on the acoustic guitar, which wasn't much, but it was enough to get me started. But I was afraid.
Can I ask you this? So obviously you had a very successful career, as in like you were making a living, touring with your band and doing this.
Yeah.
So, but before that happened and throughout, I'm just curious, I think I know the answer. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but have you ever had a regular job to have in order to stay busy in your music? Or have you always managed to make your money on music?
Cartographer, a draftsman, drawing maps.
That was it.
So I did that 5 days a week, but I played also anywhere from 3 to 6 nights a week.
That's
And-
what I want. That's what I mean. Like Bob.
Plus, I had a newborn baby at home that when I got home from playing, I'd have to feed him and burp him and, put him back to bed, that kind of thing. So,
So you're
Change his
probably
diaper.
paying your bills too.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted because my brother
Quite-
Bob worked. Go ahead,
Question.
Bob.
Of course,
That's-
if
yeah.
you don't mind, I'm just curious. 5 days a week, you are drawing maps. I mean,
Yeah.
are maps that evolutionary where they always have to be
I
refreshed,
thought that was
redrawn?
just a moment in time.
Yes.
Is that right?
I-
That's interesting.
Yeah. My
How
big
long did you do that, Hal?
at the cartography job was drawing the Nova Scotia highway map, and it took 5 months to draw that. And you're
Holy
facing down on the glass, so close, you're this close to the map all day
Oh, my.
long.
Rip.
oh
How
my.
long did you have that job?
It's
10
interesting.
years.
10
Yeah.
years. Okay, so
Yeah.
that was what you did. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I was glad that
I thought that was a young
went
kid.
wayside, and
Okay.
then I
My
started.
map,
And you
Nova
also
Scotia.
pub.
I love it. That's
Okay.
incredible. I have a
Me.
guitar question, if it's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, here's what I noted. With your guitar, as soon as you're going to be a solo artist, 20 years in a band. Wow. So you're loving being a solo artist. I know, because I did it at a pub for 3 decades. It's so easy. But guitar playing, you have 6 strings and you have 10 fingers. Now, your guitar playing evolved? It sounds like more than 6 strings. Okay. I learned how to
Very much
incorporate
so.
bass in the strum. Did you evolve? Did you say, man, I better get more out of this guitar than this 6
Yeah.
strings and start
I did.
working on that?
I did, yeah. I had
You did a
to.
good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's nice hearing from another musician that. See, I'm not a flashy player, and I don't try to play too busy, but I try to fill in the holes.
Yeah.
So,
As a strummer, you can
Oh,
what
incorporate.
I would do is, as an example, this is only a little example. I'll make a mistake, so I get the bass going, and then if I did.
See, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I couldn't do that if my life depended on it.
So,
Oh, that's
and then I
good.
would do
Oh, you got that down, huh? Yeah. That was
that kind of
hard.
stuff. Yeah.
That was
I have a
actually
I have a
we
topic I would can I
just real quick on that chord with Rhiannon. That was so talented. What he just did is so hard to do. Even in our band, when we learned it, we outsourced the bass to
How
Brendan,
did
and
you
while
guys
I
do
did
it?
the other
Yeah.
thing.
So I'm going to show you something, if I could, just for a
sure.
second. So, and again, forgive the mistakes, but if I do the riff first, and then what I'm going to do, I'll flip it to the rhythm, and it'll simulate the rhythm is supposed to simulate the riff as well. Okay. I know.
And then you open up the strum. Yeah, the band comes in.
Wow. Dynamics with 10 fingers and 6 strings, Bob. That's
And you
serious.
got
That was your
everything going. You
question.
got everything going.
Yeah.
That's, and plus it's percussive on the guitar, so I had to evolve and adapt to trying to make it sound a little fuller without being too busy.
Yeah. Actually, Bob does the same thing, man. It sounds like an orchestra sometimes with him when he's all alone with his guitar up on that stage.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. And I spent a lot of time last night diving into you and listening to all these songs that you've been doing all through the years, and you hit these keys. And man, some of the Beatle things with McCartney way up high there, and I was thinking, oh, here comes that note, and man, you would just go to it and kill it, and just so good. But my question is, why did it take so long for you to do an album? It was 1988, and you've been doing this music and working this world for a long time. Did it just take that long to get some songs up, or what was that?
Well, my first album cost me 50 grand to do. And we weren't struggling musicians. I ran the band, and we had good work, in the
Yeah.
clubs.
Sounds
We
like
basically
it.
did clubs, but to save up 50 grand, I had somebody front 20,000 that it was a loan, and it was paid back. I sold 10,000 from the stage in the 1 year.
Nice.
For a traveling band selling LPs, that's not too bad because we sold them.
Oh,
I sold them for $11 a piece, so I took in 110 grand.
You did
So I paid
great.
the album, and I made 60 grand in the 1 year. So it was. I'm pretty good with business,
evidently.
but and it wasn't like a ton of money, but I couldn't believe it. But I didn't have the money before 1988 to do it, or the
Oh,
song.
okay. Okay, and so these are original songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It
Well,
does
the-
take time
True,
sometimes
me-
to write them.
The
It's
18
just-
albums, just to clarify, the 18 albums that I did, I think there's 4 or 5 of them that are original, and the rest of them are cover tunes. And I took a lot of pride in them. I made some of them sound like they were live because we brought in the studio audience, and they would cheer or whatever.
How cool is that?
The way Paul referenced how long it took you to get to that album, it seems that you didn't just start writing songs either. That came later almost. Like what
It
happened
did.
to you right there? Well, I can write a song. When did you feel that?
Well, I felt I could write a song early, but to write a good song, it took quite a while.
Yeah,
And
it does.
I had to step outside myself and say, is that really a good song, or you just like the chords, or is it a good melody and the structure sucks? It took me a while to figure out, okay, I can step outside of it and say, I got to change that. Or
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. What a nice evolution.
It's funny when we record, we always go back into the booth after we've just laid something down, and we always go, and we look at each other and we go, it's good, right? And then at least we had another person or two to go, yeah, it's good. And so
You
we were
wonder.
always able to, come up like, okay, it's good. I can't imagine making those decisions all on your own.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, with
Crazy.
the album, when I recorded that in Nashville, I had a co-producer, and so it meant that we both had a hand in saying, I had the last say because I knew where I wanted the songs to go. He arranged all the musicians, and I didn't realize until the bed tracks were almost done. We did the bed tracks and the scratch vocals. Scratch vocals meaning course, you guys know,
Right.
they're just a guide vocal. So I did that the first day to keep the musicians in line with the charts and this kind of thing, to make it easier and to know when not to play solos. I found out later on, halfway through the session after lunch, that each one of those musicians played with either Garth Brooks, George Strait,
Oh,
the Judds.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's a good thing they didn't tell me at the start, because I would have just
You
freaked
were freaked out.
before I found out. Then it was okay, but I still was. This is
Hal,
pretty.
can I kind of digress a little bit? Because I meant to ask you this. Being a big fan of the variety shows from the 60s, you had noted that you enjoyed watching those. Is that where you saw your music? I mean, if I hadn't been in a band, you guys, those variety shows is where music came from on TV, you know? So what was your deal with those?
Oh, we saw you guys.
That's what I was wondering. I didn't want to go there, but
We saw everybody, and I was glued to Ed Sullivan. That was my biggest one.
Yeah.
Sullivan. There's Jack Parr. There was all.
Did you guys have Red Skeleton?
We had Red Skeleton. We had all the shows that you guys had.
Okay, so did you? Because we watched all of them, guys. Remember the Red Skeleton Hour? We'd watch
Wow.
that.
Yes.
Anything that-
Before that, there was Perry Como.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Tennessee
Dean
Murray
Ernie
Como
Ford.
show.
Tennessee
Did
Ernie
you do
Ford
the
had a
Andy
show.
Williams thing and
Milton
the
Berle.
Yes.
Going back to 57.
Arthur Godfrey.
Now you're pushing it.
what
Hey,
about
Hal.
the Lennon sisters?
Getting back to something Paul brought up, we believe, and we think you do, that when you learn a song, if you're going to cover a song, a recording, that as a rule, unless it's extenuating circumstances, you do them in the key of the recording, or else they're going to sound totally different. And you,
Generally speaking, yes, but
yeah, generally
there are-
speaking, we have even an example. We do the boxer in another key, but it worked. It's very
You do
rare,
it.
though. Very rare.
do you do it in B or C?
We do it in C, but we've redone the box. I'll just use that as an example that even we didn't do the original key, but we are adamant that our hits would not sound the same if we changed those keys. But we're in our
There's
70s.
a lot of
So for
Yes.
us, we can still hit it. We're glad. How are you
Yeah.
handling the evolution? You sing so many more
doing that.
songs. Hmm?
I'm doing that. The only songs that I'll change pitch, like I do Fortunate Son, and it's done in G, right? If you sing it in F, long as the song still vocally has the drive, if it does, it's believable. But when you lower a song even half a pitch, half a note, sometimes it just takes away the edge of the song.
Oh yeah.
we know.
I can do an F,
Dancing in the Streets, for
that's
instance.
still gutsy, Or if
Some
I
of
do
them
Go
work.
Your Way, done in F, I'll do it in E, but it still has the punch.
Some of them work. I mean, look, my days of singing Long Tall Sally in G, they're decades ago, but it sounds
Yeah.
pretty good in E. So some of them work, but
Yes,
some
yes.
are a disaster.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a disaster.
And you
So-
know right away, right, guys? One knows when they lay their voice or their guitar, or whatever, on it. You know if it's working or not.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
It's the way it is.
You were saying,
have a, go ahead. You have a book I want to make sure we don't forget to talk about.
oh yeah, okay.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say about Long Tall Sally. You're right about Long Tall Sally being in G. I could do it in G, but it has to be on a good day. So I do it in F, and it still has kick to it.
Yes.
It's been a good
I've
day.
used that phrase. It has to be on a good day.
Yeah, yeah. But even in F,
I
can
had
sing-
that relationship. I had that relationship with Long Cool Woman. I had to be in a good day
wow.
to
Yeah.
do that one.
You do, Bob, but it's perfect when you got it.
You
Yeah, that's
waited
way
for the
up.
right day. But how do you manage it as you get older? Or is if you keep working, like we don't have a problem with it. Are you naturally okay with your keys still?
Yeah, generally speaking, I say 99% of them are in the original keys.
Because
pretty
it's a
great.
muscle. You kept it in shape. You kept it in shape.
If you get together by the young bloods, I'll still do it in the original key, and that can get a little bit high. And it
Let's
has
do
to,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
about if you don't mind, I got to ask you about the Beatles. Okay.
Yeah.
You performed number 9.
number 9, yeah.
Oh, that's just a yes. I have 10 fingers and 6 strings. Okay, number 9. That's obvious. Okay, I can do that.
Okay, so I got to set
Do
the
you
record
bring
straight. So
anything?
what's this?
Do you bring sound with you or?
No, what I did for something like that. Well, first of all, I wanted to clarify something. I did all the Beatles songs, but I did them in a nonstop medley. And I had a capo guy so that if I'm playing Here Comes the Sun Way Up Here, when I get towards the end of the little riff that I do, he'll take the capo off. Now, when I say little riff, the first time I did that and set a world record, I did 20 seconds per song. So with number 9, all I did was I came out of, I think it was Helter Skelter or Long, 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 and it went into number 9 or something like that. I can't remember right now.
Proper order too.
Yeah, proper order, yeah.
From the albums.
That's
Yeah, I can tell.
insane.
Yeah.
And it was 214 songs. But anyway, I would just go,
Yeah.
as I'm finishing one song, if I'm finishing a song, if I'm playing just a chord, then I'll just go number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, and just do a couple little sound effects and then go into, I think the next song on the other side was Revolution 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. How fun. How
Yeah,
fun.
what a thing. I bet nobody else has done that.
All right.
Well,
I
You
just
guys,
think very unique.
you can go to Hal Bruce. You got to go to halbruce.com just to do one thing. He has his song list. He has his
Yes.
list of songs. And I was playing with it last night. I'm going, oh, let me see if he does this one. Yeah. Let me see if he does it. Oh, he does. Let me see. For a long time, I couldn't find City of New Orleans. So I was going to bring it into today's show and say, well, what happened to this? And there it was. This guy, just read his song list. Now, with some, you're going to go, how does he do that? And that's when you read his appearance list and go, and watch him.
Yeah.
Well, my wife tells people, she says, they say, he knows a whole pile of songs. Like, how does he do it? And Lynn will say, well, you have to understand Hal's brain. Hal's brain is 99% music and lyrics, and the other 1% is everything else.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're bless your wife. May I
Yeah.
yes, tell her yes.
Yes.
So how was it? You know, you have a family, you got kids, you got a wife, and you are one busy cat. How did you work all that family out? You know, how did that all go?
Well, in the summertime when my kids were younger, they're 45 and 39 now.
Yeah.
When they were younger, I used to take them around to the different festivals, and my daughter would sell T-shirts and my albums. I've been selling since '83, right? So
Put him to work.
my son would get up and play drums, and he still plays drums.
Put him
He's-
to work.
He's got a real job. So
Yeah.
So
anyway,
what do you have next? We know you have the Flower Power Cruise.
yeah, I'm
And
going down to Detroit in a couple of weeks, and just doing some stuff down there. Flower Power, and just before that is the '70s.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we
Yes.
took a couple
And
of
So
days.
I was.
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I'm going to change the subject, so go ahead and continue.
Yeah,
Okay. I was reading about your book, and you know, everybody goes, man, you guys got to write a book, and we're constantly going, man, it's not the right time to write a book, you know, but
Yeah.
you took a different angle as far as getting a book together, and are they short stories? I haven't seen it yet.
There are short stories. It's 350 pages. There's 140 stories.
Okay.
And so they're all-
140?
and they all get to the point. It doesn't talk about me walking down the street and seeing the clouds and seeing some people. It's all right to the point. So, and there's a lot of my stories. A lot of them have footnotes on the bottom of them, so that it takes the story and twists it. These are all the true stories, but it twists it like some funny bits, some tragic endings, and some successful endings. So I try to write it like that, so that when you're reading the story, you don't know where it's going to end. But they're all very short stories.
Okay.
How long did it
Smart.
take you to write that book?
I started writing it in Italy, but I started putting notes together a year or two before that. But I started writing it in earnest in Italy. We were there for 2 weeks.
It's called
And,
Wish Upon My Star.
Light Star.
Wishing
Yeah.
upon, yeah,
Wishing
wish upon
upon
my
my
Wishing upon
star.
my star.
Yeah, Hal's real
Awesome.
traveled, man. I love a guy. Well, I saw that when I was in Italy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
And do you speak any languages? Because I noticed you're in Europe all the time.
Well, Lynn is French. My wife is
Okay.
French, and of course she speaks English, but her first language is French. So, and
Wow.
in school we learned how to read French, but I can carry on very limited conversation, but I try each day to give a couple of phrases. So when we're over in France or Belgium, Luxembourg, Lynn gets along great with the people, but I can understand generally what they're talking about.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
cool.
put sentences together. But
When you were
I'm not-
younger, the two of you, would Lynn yell at you in French? And what does that sound like to be yelled at in French?
What's this? Yeah, we met later when she was a lot more mature.
Touche.
So look,
Right, we
so
gotta
she
let
yelled
this
at him
guy-
in English.
We gotta let this guy go. I mean,
Yeah, and I gotta
Paul,
go
you had another
snowplow my
thing.
front lawn.
Paul, what'd you have? I thought you had something.
Just no, I'm good. I got all my things out. The
I
book,
think I
the
have mine
keys.
too. I really wanted to hit the musical and make sure we talked about the book. So Paul, thanks for reminding us of that too.
Yeah.
We love
Any-
you, Hal. We'll see
any-
you on these
You know,
cruises.
listen, I have to tell you, it was so nice jamming with you guys. I tell people back home, guess who I jammed with? You know,
It was great.
Weehaw.
What did we do? Bus stop or something? I don't remember.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
we did a
bus stop.
great bus stop.
we did,
Yeah, we did.
California Dreaming.
Yeah, you stayed up on it. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hal,
Yes.
with those little experiences of sitting in on with bands on the cruise, you ever get the bug to get back in a band, or you just love being alone?
I like both. Like when I get up and jam with you guys or somebody else, it really is a rush. It is.
Yeah.
Takes a
Yeah,
lot of
we
weight off
know.
me, so I can relax and have a good time with it. I love it.
Yeah.
I got used to being on my own, but I tell you, I really like jamming with a band. I really do.
Listen,
Well, then
when you
look,
get up, when we got up with
set
Family
sail
Stone.
again. Let's do it again.
I'm sorry, Susan, I was speaking. When we got up with Family Stone, it's the same thing. We get a rush, and we're a band. You know, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's
It
such
is,
a
yeah.
rush when we sing with these other groups.
Yeah.
So we get
New
that.
blood.
What'd you say,
It
Susan?
is.
I talked over it.
No, that's okay. It's just we're all agreeing on the same. We're all saying, yeah. It's the
yeah.
same thing.
Hal,
All right,
anything?
brothers. I love you.
Yeah, it was great
too.
visiting, Hal. We'll see you on the Flower Power cruise.
For sure. Yes. We'll have another gab.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Paul and
What you
Susan.
got, Polly?
I'm
Take
good.
care, man.
Love you.
Guys,
You too.
bye, everybody.
Thank you.